Great. All righty. Wanted to bring everybody here together tonight because this is how we make changes. So I'm going to start by asking you a question, and I'm going to ask everyone to put their answer in the chat. Right? Are you willing to spend another year repeating the same pattern in love? Meaning, if you're in a relationship, I'm going to get mad and shut down. If I'm in a relationship, I'm going to over effort. I'm just going to try to please. I'm going to pander. Or I keep chasing. I keep efforting. I keep wanting to be in a relationship, but I keep attracting the same person. Lots of no's. Right? That's what we're really looking at. The word pattern is what we're going to go after tonight. So thank you, those who have answered no. That is exactly what we want to do, is right, because many people actually have a lot of knowledge, but knowledge doesn't translate into a new experience. Tonight, we want to talk about what will shift people into a new experience. So let me just say, I'm Claudine Charmante. I am a psychotherapist for 32 years this year. I'm a relationship coach. I'm a breath worker. I'm a retreat facilitator, but I've widened my medicine bag on purpose because of our nervous system. Some people do really well with words, but some people need breath, no words. Some people need hypnotherapy. So that is what I've done, is I have found ways that I can relate to people because I know too what I've gone through. And some things are really effective at times in my life and some things aren't. So it's my honor to be here tonight. If we can just understand that our patterns aren't really emotional, they're embodied. You're going to hear me say that. Embodied means this: our whole body, our whole self, mind and our body together. We are not separate. So this is not a mindset course, because mindset's not going to create the shift over time. It's not. We've got to change something internally in our relationship to it. That's what we're looking at. So that being said, let's get on. This is who I once was. It's still who I am. I'm wondering how many people can relate, though, to words like heartbroken, avoidant, people pleaser, perfectionist, controller. That is protection you see in that picture. This is how I kept myself safe from pain, how I kept myself safe from the redundancy of picking somebody who I never felt picked me. It hurt. I'm sure some of you can relate to that, right? I had to do something. I had been in therapy since I was 18. Like, oh, come, I'm still picking the same person. I have done the podcast. At the time, we didn't have podcasts. I'm a book reader. I usually read 4 books a month. And yet I was still picking the same person. Knowledge did not translate into something different here. Now, I look different in these pictures. Yes, I'm older. Yes, I'm 200 pounds lighter. But it's not about the weight transformation. Something had to change in here. And particularly what I'll talk about tonight is when we embody the experience of safety, because I had to start to feel safe here. I kept farming my safety out to my beloveds in my life, my partners. And guess what? Didn't work. Didn't work at all. So I will say, let us explore what it feels like tonight to feel safe, secure, empowered, and completely loved. Oh, wait, I'm hearing that someone's saying that you're not seeing the pictures. What? Let us go back and redo that. I'm so sorry to hear that. That we were not seeing my screen. I had no idea. Thank you for someone letting me know that. Wow. Oh, so then let me start from here then. I apologize for that. This is the slide that I was saying represents the pain. So I apologize, everyone, for that moment. Right? I look heavier. That is the pain of not feeling chosen by myself. A lot of protection, right? Big difference now in my life. Yeah, I look different, but again, this is because there's now safety, because I had to create it. My partners could not create safety for me. I wanted them to. I wanted to feel chosen. But how do you feel chosen if you don't choose yourself? So that is what our work is about. Where do we break that pattern? So if we could start right now by just saying, if you could put one word in the chat that describes your current love life, what word would you say? Now, this is not every feeling. Lonely. Thank you. We appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, it's a temperature check. Proud. Ooh, T. I hope to hear from you later. I want to hear about that. Proud is awesome word. Love it. Anybody else?
Anybody else?
What's a word
What's a word
that describes how you feel about your love life?
about your love life?
Getting a little drag tonight.
Tonight.
I'm not sure what's happening there. Great. So hurt, non-existent,
non-existent,
optimistic. Great. Ooh. I want to hear what happened to you.
Want to hear what happened to you?
So let's talk about what's going on. So Dawn, I'm hearing an echo. Is anybody else hearing an echo?
Anybody else hearing an echo?
Okay. I'm not sure what's happening tonight.
All
right. I apologize. I'm going to stop sharing. I don't know because now it's not happening. Right. Don't know. Don't know what's happening here tonight. Okay. We're gonna come and try this again and see if it works. Okay.
Maria, you have a hot mic.
Thank you, whoever said that. So Maria, I'd ask you to mute. Thank you, Maria. Maybe that was what it was. I've never seen that happen before. Okay. So the problem is the patterns, as I was saying earlier, but most of us want to blame the partner, their personality. I'm not going to say there is not people who are harmful. Please understand, after 32 years as therapist, I understand abuse and I understand a narcissistic personality disorder. We are very much caught up as a culture right now in the label of narcissism. It tells us a lot about us, right? But a pattern means that it continues to show up. Even with awareness, I have the same results. Think about a pattern in our clothing. We may like certain patterns in our sheets. It's because we like how that shows up. But the pattern over time, if it's not functional, starts to have high pain for us, right? But I will say this, we often see intelligent, high-functioning women struggle in love. Why is that? Because majority of them will try harder. They will do more. They will over-effort, over-plan. They will always continue thinking that will change. If I give more, if I do more, because they're so smart in their jobs, they know how to get results there. So they're like, I must be not doing it right here. So I will continue to do more. And yet the pattern persists. Does anybody relate to that? Right? I keep saying the same things. I ask the same things. I show up, right? Like that's what we're really looking at is how come this is a pattern for us women, particularly. Yeah, I appreciate people recognizing that. You're not broken. This is where our nervous system recognizes familiar. We know something about what this pattern is. This is not new. Just because it's a new person, a new marriage, it isn't. Most likely, it mirrors something that we experienced earlier on in our life. Our trauma responses, how we're related with our parents. That's what we keep recreating. We don't want to say that. It's like, oh no, I'm not. But sometimes we actually create the very opposite thing that we want that actually is the same pattern, by the way. We do it in response to I don't. Right? So we may intellectually understand what's happening, but emotionally we keep getting pulled back into this. So I want to say, like, there's a lot of defense patterns, though. Right? I mentioned before for myself, people pleasing and efforting and perfectionism and controlling, right? But we know there's the shutdowning, the repetitiveness. I'm just going to ask some people just to put their, yep, thank you. Right, overgiving. Some people are uber independent. That isn't brokenness in you that's impacting your relationship. It's your survival skill is in that relationship more than you are. So you're leading from people pleasing. You can't create intimacy with people pleasing. It's a defense posture. So we're going to talk about how do we do that, right? So we do this because they're familiar. You've all probably heard attachment theories. It's all over social media right now, right? So we do that because how I related to my initial caregivers often mirrors what I have in my relationships, right? So if I have an inconsistent love for my parents, my body learns anxiety. I don't know when it's going to be there. I sometimes call that the slot machine of love. That creates what we call the anxious attachment. That's a pattern. It's not a life sentence when we see the avoidant and the anxious, right? They dance together. No, they're two survival patterns based on the way we related with our parents or caregiver. They are not fixed. They're just a default setting as a way of coping, right? So if I have love that was unavailable, my body learns distance. That's the avoidant. When it's chaotic, unorganized, unpredictable, right, and distant, that's when we see people who have the label of a disorganized attachment style. That's what this is about, right? So our nervous system will always look for familiar, because at one time that was actually safe. Problem is, that was when we were kids. As an adult, if I keep picking familiar, that means I'm picking someone that actually shows up like either my mother or father, because I know that. So we hear people come from first dates. Oh my God, it felt like home. You feel like I've known them for a lifetime. You have. Your nervous system knew them for a lifetime. That's what we're really looking at here. One of the most interesting, when I was doing this PowerPoint, was like, there's more and more articles about the quality of relationships going down as women are getting more successful. We're seeing trends like, we call it the silver divorce. More women after 50 are getting divorced than ever before. We have the younger generation refusing to date nowadays. We have young men who are preferring AI girlfriends instead of real girlfriends. What is happening? The reality is, it's not success that is weakening the relationship, so to say. It's how do we come from this powerful place in our leadership, in our career, and then become soft and receptive in a relationship. That has become a challenge that we're seeing more and more. That is getting harder for women who are in control all day long, coming home, and then they have to be soft. But most of them are coming home and they're not soft because now they've got to run a household. Some people will tell me, my clients, like, I don't just have 3 kids, I have 4. My husband's another one, right? That means there isn't effectiveness in the relationship at this point. And I think that is really interesting because there's such an internal cost for women who are externally successful. And I think that's a place that we're just starting to recognize is going to need more attention. But you're here. But the real problem, so to say, isn't the mindset. I don't even like to call it a problem. It's the wiring. So what do we do about it? How do we rewire? That is what this course is about, and I'm going to have you experience it. I'm wondering if anyone would like to take a look. I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint for a moment, and I'm going to put up a whiteboard. Anybody be willing to come and talk about, whoops, I'm sorry, whiteboard. Okay. Anybody willing to talk about their patterns? I would love to talk to somebody about their pattern. What is it that is showing up in their, oh, T has raised her hand. T, you're on it. I think you're the one who also said proud earlier. So I'm going to put this down. So we're going to look at this from a trigger to body to
Sure.
behavior.
So,
Somebody is
um,
drawing. Okay, so we have to have people not draw at the same time. I didn't realize I needed to ask that. Uh, okay, who can start sharing? I don't know.
so one of my defaults is to, if I feel like I'm not being heard or understood, is to just shut down um, and stop communicating.
Okay. So I love where you're going. You're getting there before I am, unfortunately. Right, let me just finish this. And we're going to get to reinforcement. Okay. So, T, you just told me the trigger, right? Where's T? Can we pin T up here for me? Go on. So the trigger is, say it again. What happens? Truly, what happens? Let's go through it.
It is, I get super disappointed because I'm not understood, and then I
Okay,
just
hold
shut
on.
down.
Hold on. Let me just slow you down, T. I
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
feel understood. That's your trigger. I'm talking with my partner, whoever that may be, and I feel not understood. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then let's go to the next one. What happens? I get triggered. What happens internally? What is the sensation and the experience you have, T?
Either frustration or disappointment or just
Frustration,
hurt.
frustration, disappointment. So there's an emotional experience happening inside you, correct?
Yes,
Hurt.
ma'am.
Yeah. Is there any sensations? Is there any like where hurt or disappointment is in your body?
In my heart.
Your heart. Okay, so you really feel the hurt, the disappointment here. Okay, let's keep going. And then what happens once you start to feel this hurt, disappointment in your heart? What do you do?
I just feel so heavy that in order for me to not lash out, I just shut down.
Okay. So I don't feel understood. I feel hurt in my heart, disappointed. I shut down. What's the result of you shutting down? I really want to thank T for this.
Um, well, long term is I don't set boundaries. Um, I don't communicate, which just drives my partner and I further apart. I lose myself essentially,
Okay.
and
Yep. Okay. So you go from feeling not understood, hurt and disappointed in your chest, in your heart, to just shutting down, right? What happens in the relationship when you go into protection mode? When you start to pull in?
um, I don't know. I'm going through a divorce right now, so
I appreciate that, T. Thank you for even being here and sharing that. But did you get the result you wanted when you shut down?
I thought I did for a little while, but I guess long term overall, no.
No. That, what you just shared with all of us so bravely, is a pattern. Because every time you shut down, rightfully so, you deepen the pattern in the relationship. You deepen the pattern in here because it means anytime I'm misunderstood, I'm not safe and I need to do these things, right? I've hurt, I've disappointment, my heart, I pull back. Then there's distance in the relationship. And then you told us ultimately there's a divorce. Does everybody see that? Can you tell me in the chat if you could see that being a relationship pattern? Does anybody even identify with that? I'm raising my hand. I know that I pull away. I know I go, yeah, definitely. Thank you, Dawn. Yeah, thank you, Terry. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Terry saying yes. What our work is, and Maggie, I'll take that question in a second. Our work is about interrupting this pattern because I got to tell you what's going to not change. Your trigger's not going to change. Where we do and have only control here is not the trigger and the emotion. It is in our behavior. Can I pause a second to say, is he really trying to harm me right now? Because someone else may be in that same conversation with somebody and have the same experience, but not feel misunderstood. Go, oh, he's overwhelmed tonight. He's not present. Not making excuses, T. Hear me. It's our only place to make a decision choice here is our behavior. But we are wired in our responsiveness, right? A fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. I am a freezer. I go to shut down. If I don't interrupt that, then my result will always be disconnection in my relationships. Does that make sense to everybody? Can I share hands, say hands? Okay. I feel like Maggie, you had your hand up. I want to honor that you had a question.
No question. I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Maggie. I really do appreciate that. Great. T, round of applause. Is it possible that you can alternate simultaneously? Can Melissa, you want to share that? I don't know what that means. Do you want to come off camera or you want go on to take your, I don't know what that means to, is it possible an alternative simultaneously? Yeah, Melissa.
Hey guys, sorry, I explained it wrong. I just started learning the freeze, the fun,
Mhm.
like all of it, right?
Trauma response. Yeah.
Because I actually have childhood trauma and I've been going through it severely for years up till now presently. I'm getting better now, by the way, but I never knew what it was. So just imagine me being in deep confusion my whole
Yes.
life. It was really traumatizing for me and no one I didn't it was like so hard, and when I read like the definitions, it like shook me because I'm like,
Yes.
"Oh my gosh, that's me." And I
Yeah.
noticed like sometimes it depends on the situation cuz my previous relationship was like a very violent, narcissistic, abusive
Sure.
relationship,
Oof.
right? So a lot of times I'm going through both at the same time.
What's the two things?
You
Tell
know,
me what the both
um,
is.
so I would say like when I started being more defensive, I started to be more fight.
Okay.
But then sometimes like he overpowers me and then um oh, I forgot which one it was, but he overpowers me so it's like I end up freezing.
Well, let's be clear. What you're sharing with us right now, and I want to be really tender about it, is that means
Yeah.
there's not safety in the relationship,
No, there was absolutely no
right? If there's physical
absolutely.
threat and you're using words like overpower, so our body, right? These are the two places we can change is how we respond
Mhm.
and my choice of behaviors. I can't change my trigger. I can't change the other person, certainly. If I
Right.
change one of these two, so in that case, right, I hear you, even saying something healthy like, I'm thinking about T's example, I'm not feeling heard right now, and
Mhm.
this hurts me. That changes the pattern. In that moment, instead of going and shut down, but I don't want to encourage you to go, hey, dude, you're dangerous and I don't feel safe right now. I don't know that that will de-escalate. So I'm really would not want to recommend. I'm going to say, right, I'm a therapist. I was like, if there's domestic violence, I would really encourage you to go to a domestic violence specialist because I would be concerned about it. But this is where we can make a change. So instead of shutting down for me, I'm a shut downer. If I could stay
Mhm.
present to myself and even say, my God, I feel like checking out right now, but this is important. I want to stay present. that changes every pattern.
Yeah.
For me, that's
Yeah.
Forget, like
changing.
I signed up for this free thing on Facebook and it's like,
Okay,
Yeah.
great. You did sign up for that free thing. I'm glad you're here too. So that's what I would say is, can I change? Because if I recognize that it's not a threat, it's, oh, this is my dance too. Because guess what? We're also in a dance. What I bring to my relationship, I have to take responsibility for that. My history, I'm not saying negatively.
Mhm.
If I know I shut down, then when I feel hurt, I have to be with myself in a different way so I can create a new experience. Natalia, Natalia, I feel like I'm saying that right. She's got her hand raised.
Natalia.
Natalia, I love the pretty, very pretty name.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So, the main thing or pattern that I've identified is
Okay, someone else have a height now? Go
do you
ahead.
hear that feedback
Yep.
as well?
Okay, we're trying, but someone's got a height mic, but no one seems to have a mic open, so I don't know what happened there.
Should I type it instead?
Yes, please do. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Right. So anyway, I did want to share this because this is our pattern right here. So we reinforce the very thing that frustrates us, the very thing that stops us from having the results in our relationship. This is not blame. This is a familiarity. Shutdown is known in my system. T has a familiarity too, right? If I don't feel seen and heard, I do feel same thing, T. I feel hurt. And then I feel like you don't see me. Right? Whoa, that's a childhood wound of mine. Is that really what's happening here? Could it be that my beloved had a rough day, or maybe they're not present? If I can pause and be with it, or at least state what's happening, that's a change in the pattern. And then I can get a different result. This does not happen because I read a book. It's because I practice it. I practice it with my family. I practice it in my dating. I practice it with my friends. Because my trauma patterns don't just show up in a romantic relationship, they're intensified. They show up everywhere. Natalia, I tend to become the mom or the savior. Yes, that's a pattern big for women. And I lose myself to fix every single aspect of my partner's life. And as a result, I feel used. Someone who didn't even ask for my help. I really appreciate your insight here, right? So there is something here, even our fear of not being loved, we over effort as women. We do more because we don't want to feel it. There's something that you're not allowing here, Natalia, to feel, because right, that's how you were safe as a child. My people pleasing started with my mom, who went through a horrible divorce and married an awful man. So to make mom's life easier, I became her savior. I became her need predictor. I took care of her. That's exactly the role I would go into in relationships. And then I'd resent. But guess who's the one who offered it? So you're stuck in that pattern by yourself right now. And my encouragement to you is, why are you efforting so much for love? This is a self-love topic you're really talking about. Because when I trust I am lovable, I don't have to effort, prove, and do for. But if I don't, and in my years, I didn't. So I people pleased, I did for, I over efforted. So that would be my encouragement, Natalia, is the more that you love yourself, you're going to find you don't need to do that. You can start to feel more secure in the relationship. But let me get back to my PowerPoint, because that pattern that we're talking about here, and I know I've I'm a fixer. I have a difficult time being a soundboard without going into action. Yeah, most us women really do like to go into action. So my promise, let me get back to the course, is that I will show you how to rewire. I did it here, but I want to go a little bit deeper into this because all of this that I'm sharing with you after 32 years, I recognize something needed to be different. I looked at this and I was like, how is it that I'm seeing this pattern in my own client's pattern? And 1 hour a week, and I think I'm a good psychotherapist, is not going to change a practice pattern. We don't learn it once and go, oh yeah, I got that. I'm good. Let's go. So I created a model. And it really is looking at loneliness, because that is the hard part for a lot of us. We feel lonely in a relationship. And when we're single, it is the place that is the most uncomfortable for many of us to sit with, right? So you're not seeing the PowerPoint again? Is that accurate? Okay. I have to tell you, this has been a very interesting night for me. All right. I apologize again. Okay. I'm going to go here. All right. So I'm going to go back. That I will change and show you a different model tonight. So we're going to go through lonely to beloved, repressed to expressed, anxious to secure, and triggered to trusting. And it is pattern breaking, all of these. Because loneliness is an emotion that we most likely think, if I can only meet that person, I won't feel lonely again. I've been married. I felt very lonely in my marital bed. I could tell you how many nights I cried. Never even got a rollover, right? Repressed. Am I saying my truth? Or am I hoping mind reading, or I don't feel safe to? Right? Love cannot survive if we can't have a place to say our truths. Anxious or avoidant, in our attachment style, if I don't feel secure in myself and in my love, then I can't be in a secure relationship. And of course, triggered is, how am I working with that so that I can move back into trusting with myself and my beloved? So I want to ask you first, if we go to a poll, Dawn, if you could put poll 2 up. Out of all of these words, which one may feel the least available to you right now? So Dawn will put a poll up, right? If you had to think about feeling like a beloved, expressing my truth without fear, feeling secure and emotionally safe in a relationship, trusting others and myself, what one feels the least accessible? Right? I really appreciate everyone's putting their answers in there. Yeah, I really appreciate it. So it gives us some information. This is not, oh, it's the only thing. Recognize something about those topics landed for you. So I'll end the poll. I'll show you the results. Right, so everybody it's a pretty good smattering in this room, and not everyone answered, and that's okay. Right? But we're going to talk about it as we move forward. So I want you to see what's possible. So let's go for beloved. There's a famous Rumi poem that was like, go find your beloved is to go find yourself. And that's not as romantic. That's not going to sell a whole lot of Hallmark movies. But the bottom line is, we're often wanting to be chosen and be someone's beloved, but we actually don't even feel worthy of being chosen. Or when I ask people, well, how much do you love yourself? Like, well, I get a massage every month. I'm like, and that's beautiful, I'm glad, but that's not a statement. It's a great self-care. Self-love is more than what I give myself. It's, how am I talking? How am I with myself? Do I find myself special? Right? Do I find myself worthy of everything, right? That means that I'm here. I belong to me. And this idea of belonging to yourself is what we do in the alchemy of love, because it's an important sense. If I can't belong to me, how do I belong to you? T, I'm really happy to hear she's starting the journey, because that's what heartbreak every time. We come out of a heartbreak and we're like, oh my God, I lost myself. Yeah, you lost yourself because you didn't value yourself enough. We're not taught that as women. Really not. We're taught to serve and to be intuitive in effort and earn and do, right? So I just want you to think about this, but how about we do a little mini practice? I invite everyone to put their hand over their heart. If you're driving, please do not do this. And if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes or not. I just want you to whisper, I belong to myself first. I belong to myself first. Just notice. And I felt really soothing for some, may not for others. But I have to belong here so that I can be seen, heard, valued, and appreciated. I have to actually give all those things to myself. Because when I role model that for someone I'm dating, then they'll be like, oh, shoot. I do know how damn good I've got it with her. I do want to listen because I show up differently. Right? Most of us don't. And I appreciate T even saying that earlier. Right? Because the loneliness is really our own disconnection from ourselves. And heartbreak usually highlights that. I want to shift that from the beginning. In an alchemy of love, that is what we focus on. Is that coming home, that ownership is sometimes really new work for people. I really want to encourage you, whatever that is. Like I have an affirmation about I'm worthy of love, of being seen, heard, and appreciated, because that's not been my experience. And the only one who can change that for people is me. And then I attract people who see me. It's an inside game. Repress to express. I think I said it earlier, that secure love or fruitful love is really, I've got to feel safe enough to express myself. Because if I'm holding back, whatever I repress is going to be repeated. And I guarantee you, it's the home reason for resentment. Right? Whatever I don't say will start to come out in all other kind of ways. Right? And people actually don't know how we feel. I've been guilty of this. They should know by now. Don't they know me? We've talked about this, right? I agree. After a while, that's a pattern. But the only one who could start it off and inform our partners is us. And majority of the people I meet in couples counseling, even, like they really hope it should be, he knows me. It's not enough, right? You've got to be able to answer it for yourself and inform, teach somebody how to love you. Not the way, because otherwise they're going to love you the way they love. And you're like, well, that doesn't work for me. No, the only one who can teach them how to love you is you, which we've got to express it. So I want to practice something for a moment, right? Is if you're somewhere and you have a pen and paper, if not, that's fine. I want you to think about one sentence you never dared or don't dare to say out loud in your relationship right now. Either you never said it in your past relationship or you haven't had the nerve yet to say it in this one. Just take a moment. Write it down. Think about it. This is a truth. Anyone have the courage to come on camera or write it in chat? It's been a courageous group so far, so I want to really thank you. Anyone want to put it there? Anyone want to come out? Because there's actually, because we're talking about rewiring, is if you don't want to do it here, I'm going to encourage everyone at home, even if you wrote it down or not, say it out loud. If you can and you're in a place that's private, right? Yeah, I'm so angry right now. Thank you, Dawn. Say it out loud. It's important for your body to have an expressed truth. I will say mine out loud for you. I actually have needs that I'm scared to share with you. I should have said that many times in my relationships, and I haven't. Because the pattern in my body was, you can have needs and nobody will be there for you. So I just made the decision for my partners. I just won't tell you. I had to say that out loud. I have needs. Because that's my truth. And if I don't say my truth to me, I can't say it to somebody else. So wherever you are, oh, I appreciate this. I think you are with me because it's convenient, not for love. Ooh, Natalia, that's painful. I am playing small in this relationship. Oh, that's a big truth. We are taught to shrink. Women are taught to shrink. It's still debated in politics about shrinking us. Who owns the body? Who makes decisions? We've got to own our voice. And I really want to tell you, this is a vital part of our work, is speaking your truth in safe containers. As much as we have to figure out how do I teach someone to love me, speaking these truths in safety, in practice containers, like a coaching program, is really beneficial. Thank you. I don't trust you at all. Ooh, that's a powerful one too. Right? But if that's alive in the relationship, think about, how is intimacy? I am in a place that I don't know that I can trust you. Right? Because this trust becomes a pattern. Because our behaviors and reactions and the results will keep us in this loop of, we don't repair, we just stay in a place of distrust. I'm scared to let you in fully because I don't want to be taken advantage of. Oh, Terry, that's really honest. I'm dating and I recognize I'm not sharing a lot. This person is sharing from their heart, their texts, their conversations, and I, who am a very heart-driven woman, I am like, Claude, what's going on? But I recognize I have some of that alive in my body. I had heartbreak 2 years ago, longer than 2 years now. And I am still really cautious. That's a truth that I just got to share because it's not about that person. It's about me. So, right, where's the place where I can't stay suppressed? I really get to express and bring safety. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Terry, for sharing that. Okay. We can call this avoidant to secure. I guess when I wrote it, I used anxious, though I am a default avoidant when I am under stress. Right? So secure. This is really where we're moving, right? Because attachment, secure at one end, we call it disorganized here. Avoidant and anxious is in the middle. We're all on this continuum. Our goal in our healing and breaking patterns is to move towards secure. What is secure love? Secure love is, I believe that in conflict, we will repair. I know that when there is a moment of distrust, that we have the tools to rebuild it, that I can share how I'm feeling and it won't destroy this relationship. That's what secure love is. It can bend to the tensions. It won't crack under the pressure of conflict. That is an active muscle in a relationship, right? That your nervous system feels secure and safe enough to be able to move through this. Because our nervous system is going to be like, oh my God, no, it's happening again. It's happened, right? There's going to be alarms in our system. Just shared mine. It wasn't that loud, but it's loud enough that I started to recognize I'm not sharing deeply. Sharing, but not deeply, not in par of where this person is. It's like, oh, okay, wait, Claude, my nervous system is still caught on my choice of trusting myself again. It's not the heartbreak. It's, can I trust my choices again? I chose my last relationship very actively. And we couldn't make it. We make it out more than a year and a half after knowing each other for 8. That's heartbreak. So that's what I'm learning there. It's my nervous system that's the one that's like, protection. I'm not doing it consciously. I didn't even recognize it. Somebody had to point it out to me, actually. So just think about that part. I just want to also do a little practice point for a moment, right? Is there somewhere in your life that there's something you want more of? So we may have joy. We may want more adventure. We've got to be ready for that. People are like, yeah, I want more joy, but are we ready? Because I often have clients go, yeah, I want more joy, but it's going to be over. Something's going to happen to take it away, right? That means I don't feel secure. I can always lose it. Brene Brown calls that abiding joy. It's here one day, gone another. So it means we need to plant our system, right? And be in groundedness, because secure love and a secure nervous system doesn't mean it's not going to face or feel fear. It's that it won't collapse under the fear. That's what we're talking about. It can tolerate fear as a point of information. Fear is always going to be with us, but is it going to rule, or are we going to let it be information? That's a choice, and that's a practice with our nervous system. And I have to say, this is a place where I would say is the biggest shift I see with my clients is when they start to feel more secure, when they recognize the conflict didn't end the relationship, that they actually have the tools in their toolkit to start to repair. That's a big place. But I do want to ask Dawn to put up a poll number 3. And this is attachment styles, right? We each have, I shared with you that I'm an avoidant when under stress, right? That's the pull away. Do you know yours? I would ask everyone to take this quiz. Take this poll. If you do not, I would ask Dawn if you could put into the chat the free quiz to take your relationship style. So I think it's important to know. Again, this is not a lifetime experience, right? The poll's up. I'm going to just ask everyone to continue to put what they think their attachment style is. If you do not know, just say I'm unsure. But in the chat right now is a free quiz that will show you your relationship style. It's good to know. I love that someone put secure in there. Good for you, right? Right? It is anxiety. Maggie, thank you for sharing that. Because love was inconsistent at one time in your life. You weren't sure, right? Was it there? Was it not there? Could I count on it? Could I count on, right? So ultimately we end up in relationships that were always like, you love me, right? You're going to be there, right? And people like come to the couple session and be like, oh my God, how much more can I assure her? She's always asking. But your nervous system is still caught up in your childhood, which is, I couldn't count on mom and dad. Can I count on you? And the nervous system is going, no. But it's really because the nervous system is from your childhood. This beloved is not your parent. So recognize we have a lot of anxious in this class, disorganized 3, but not sure. So if anybody, I would say definitely go take the quiz and see if you see yourself or if you would like some prompts on how to shift that, if you want to know more about your piece. Okay. I feel like I just talked about that. Yeah. So triggering to trusting. Right. So how do I stay open? Right. Because most of us like, I'll stay open, but I need a little protection, Claude. But trust can only be built when we can openly explore our trigger. So right earlier on, T was like, hey, if I don't feel understood, right? Now, I'm not saying her partner, her husband was able to do this work, but this is where we really have to talk about our triggers, right? Like, ouch, that hurts. Now, if I keep telling my beloved, this hurts, and my beloved keeps doing it, that's concerning, right? But if we're in a relationship, it's like, this is hurting. At one point, we have to then, as a couple, how do we put down this marker? Because I'm carrying it and so is my beloved. So that is the pattern shift. Because if I look at all the people who do this to me as trying to harm me, then I'm always going to be on defense. Maybe someone's trying to get my attention. Maybe someone's trying to pass this to me. If I interpret it as attack every time, I'm only going to have the same result, right? The behavior, or I can slow the behavior down and be like, oh, wait a second. What's going on with him that he has to keep doing this? I'm not asking you to be a therapist. I'm asking you to bring it out into the public. We've got to be able to talk about that without everyone getting defensive, right? So I do know from couples, and maybe some of you can recognize this, is, well, I told him what was bothering me, and he's like, yeah, but you did that to me. Or how about last week when I asked you something? Like, oh, we've got to stay here. Can't go into the past. We can't go into the future. We get to stay here, and everyone gets their turn, but we've got to look at our triggers and be able to share that in a way that builds trust, not creates evidence of you're wrong, you're bad. Most of us do that. We have an inventory of all the times they've hurt us. Right? And now what do we want to do with that? That's the pattern. I want you to say you're sorry and that you're wrong. Okay, but that doesn't really create intimacy. It's good part of repair, but we've got to probably go deeper than that. So we want to ask everyone to do another exercise. And I want you to think about the last time you were triggered. Could have been tonight in the course that you're in, right? But I want you to just think back. Think about a recent moment you were triggered. I want you to ask, what was I trying to protect in that moment? It's a very different way of looking at a trigger. What was I trying to protect in that moment? Let me give you an example. Let's go back to this. My first therapist told me this analogy. My parents broke my arm. This is just a metaphor, not real. They broke my arm. So it's a tender arm now for me. So I tell people I'm in a relationship, don't hit this. This is a tender arm for me. Right? What are you doing? I told you this is a tender arm for me. Because what I'm trying to protect every time he taps his pen is I have an old wound and now I have a new wound. I'm trying to protect myself. The trigger is a form of protection from being hurt again. It's an alarm system for our bodies. Your body in that moment perceives that as danger, unsafety. Now, it may be very real, like we spoke earlier. If there is violence in a relationship and overpowering and power over, that's domestic violence. This may be someone saying, hey, I need us. I'm angry at you. I'm mad. And you're going, I'm now madder than you because I'm protecting this. Doesn't get us anywhere. So I'm not saying trigger is good or bad. It's neutral. It's information. But let's not abandon ourselves. Let's get honest about it. You're hurting. What do you need? Because I'm going to protect this and get defensive. That's our pattern. That's our dance, babe. I don't want to keep doing this dance. So does anyone want to share? How true is this? I've noticed triggers. I'm just reading a chat, Terry. I noticed my triggers are also me feeling like I have to protect others too. Yes. Big insight there, Terry. Actually, sometimes it's a diversion. Right? Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to self-abandon. We don't want to shrink and minimize. But there is a place we have to recognize that some of this is ours. So my beloved wasn't seeking to hurt me. I was so protective and guarded, right? And they had to find a different way of reaching me because this was also harmful to me. That's a journey in relationships. But that's a shift, right? That is how we shift to trust. When we can, what I call repair. I'm sure many of you have heard the steps of repair, right? Where we acknowledge impact, we acknowledge what it did, our behavior, and then a committed new action, not to repeat it. Most of us don't get to repair. It's a real important part that we do bring into the alchemy of love. Okay, let's keep moving. Sorry. So why do women get stuck in love? I would often say that we were socialized. We were socialized often to over effort and overdo. So, right, I hear from a lot of my clients that they overthink. And if you're overthinking, that means it's too overwhelming here to feel. So we've got to bring safety and decrease the overwhelm through regulation so we can actually process our feelings, right? A lot of us are super independent, so we don't show need and vulnerability. The only way to have intimacy, one of the strongest ways for connection and intimacy is through vulnerability, right? And where we have communication. Are we really communicating which feels uncomfortable, sometimes not safe. So I say this to clients, is it really not safe? Now it may, again, I'm going to put domestic violence here. It may be uncomfortable to communicate, but is it really safe? It's about safety. So I ask people, how do you know when you're emotionally safe? So let me ask you, how do you know when you're emotionally safe? I know for me, I'm going to just see if it lands in front of you. I could say it's a feeling. It's a lived sense of experience. It's not a concept up here in my head. I may label it as safety. My chest is open, right? I'm not in a collapse. I can feel a yes and a no in my body. I'm grounded to the earth. So whatever safety is for you, and if you don't know it, I would really encourage you to start to tune in and go, do I feel safe? I don't hold back and I'm able to openly communicate. Wow, you go T, right? Yeah, right. Even with fear, we sometimes need to communicate even with fear. Fear is just information telling us this is really uncomfortable. It's very different if it's telling us there's danger. Most times when we go to communicate, it's not about threat. It's that we're afraid of discomfort. We're afraid of conflict. We're afraid they may not accept what I'm going to say. That's where it goes. Jade. Jade is one of my clients. I'm smiling because I'm just thinking about her right now. She just released a book and she's a coach. She's a career coach. And this is a woman who's had a very traumatic childhood where she wasn't special to her father, who just went on the road and never came back. And her mother was someone who had hippies of those days on the compound, so neglected her because those conversations, those spiritual experiences, I'm sure there were psychedelics involved. So this is a woman who wants to be loved desperately and doesn't experience love easily because, like her arms have her right there, even though it's a great professional photo, there's something about her that is so cautious. So she over efforts. She chose a marriage that made her always prove to work for it. She got gaslit a lot, just like with her family. She picked familiar, someone who's there and be like, I'm gone, I'm going on the road for 6 weeks. What? Oh, I got a startup. That's just what it is. So like this pattern recreated in her life. So again, she thinks it's about her. And once she started to realize this pattern was in her childhood and has recreated with her husband, right, we at least had a foundation when she got to that place because she could share those wounds with her husband. She could ask for more planning. She could ask for consideration, right? He wasn't giving it to her, right? And she didn't know to ask for it. She actually has become someone who's much easier to love. Not because she was ever difficult, but she didn't allow herself. She didn't find herself worthy. All her doingness just to make sure she was not abandoned was exhausting for her. So her career couldn't take off. We efforted there. She accepted really low fees from her clients. Right? The more that she can choose herself and communicate and express, they have made a shift in intimacy, vulnerability. Her career has exploded. She's just presented last week at Harvard's business school, called Wharton. Wharton, I think it's spelled Warton. That's what's available to her because she's now able to choose herself. And from there, she's taught her husband how to love her because he was just loving her the way he knew. And that's the way they loved in his family. But it was too familiar for her, much more wounding, much more wounding. Dawn, who's here with us tonight. Dawn, who always makes me beam and cry a bit when I talk about her. When I met Dawn, super successful. I'd love to tell the story of all the certificates on her wall. She had over, I do believe, 50 certifications, degrees, all other things. As a CFO, a CPA, someone who was willing to stand out so much against the grain She was the only female in her class at SUNY in an accounting major who was asked to really not be there because, women, what are they going to do in that field? That's not Dawn. Dawn is a warrior and a phoenix, but in her family system, she's the doer and the caregiver. She took care of the family, took care of the home. So love was effort. Love was repress the needs, pander and take care of others at the cost of self. And conflict was a fear-based response that Dawn lost her voice. Like could not state when she was angry, when she was hurt, when she was upset. Right. And that part of her, then she wasn't reachable because she couldn't take her own armor off. Right. And she kept waiting and waiting to the point she really, when she recognized her own worth, recognized it wasn't the man for her too, because there was no choice and no motivation for him to change. But that was Dawn choosing Dawn. Did she start her life over? Hell yes. Does it look really different? Sure does. But I will say it's authentically Dawn, right? Because she chose her. She chose herself. Yes, she still caregives a parent who is in more medical need at this point in her life, but that's an active choice that has boundaries, has expectations, has agreements in it. Something that was not available to her because that wasn't what her worth was, right? And never would bring it up. So it is a choice to change a pattern in ourselves because the loss of self is too painful to endure. Alex. Alex is a good friend. Well, let me ask everybody here. I'm going to go back to Dawn. Does anybody else lose their voice in conflict? Let me know. Right? Because I could tell you, this is part I do recognize of myself in Dawn. I never spoke up. Conflict was fear-based. I've never been hit. I've never been beaten. My siblings were. So conflict in my family, if I could escape and dissociate and go to Mars, I would. So in relationships, I suppressed everything. When they were upset, does anyone else do that? Right? Because all that did was grow resentment. So who else here loses their voice? Yeah, it's not unheard of. We're not even encouraged to have our voice as women, right? So we love people like Maya Angelou who actually encourage us to use our voice and our words. It doesn't always happen. Alex, when I met him, super independent, but when we got deep under his independence, in this Uber, I've got it all together, was actually a lot of distrust and conflict. And that didn't allow intimacy in his life. But yes, he chose marriage and he kept her very uninformed, right? He created conflicts in his business agreements. He spent money recklessly, right? Because there's a part where he was not facing about himself. He didn't actually trust himself. And so that trust didn't come into his marriage, into his business relationships, with his family of origin. There's always been this edge to him. And yet he's a generous, ridiculously giving man. But in his intimate relationships, not his outer relationships, his intimate relationships were really fractured. And he didn't believe that he could stay in control if he let people see the hurt parts of him. This is a little, he was 8 years old and he got dropped off in our country. No language. He was called Orange Boy. That's what he thought his name was translated in America, because that's what they called him in his school. Right? So distrust is so old in his system. When he finally started to trust himself and the vulnerability of expression, his world blew apart, right? I'm not going to say his marriage is perfect, but Alex can now go back and repair. His outer circle and inner circle are starting to merge more because he's showing up vulnerable. He's a vulnerable leader now. And that is a real big shift for him. I'm going to be honest. Most people change from pain, unbearable pain. I can relate. I wait for the day that we all change just from joy, but we don't. It is something that doesn't happen that way. So I do want to talk about why advice sometimes doesn't work too. It really doesn't get integrated, right? We read books, podcasts. I don't know, I'm assuming everyone here does. We've got so many masters at our disposal right now. Relationship people, trauma people, therapists, right? And part of this is if we don't change the wiring and we don't integrate, nothing changes in the system. We can work on our mindset. I think mindset work is extraordinary. But if we're not going to bring it down here to a new lived experience, that means we're not integrated. We're not embodying. We walk away informed with more knowledge, but not with a new experience or a different wiring or a new pattern, should I say. So the change doesn't last. And that's the hard part, right? So if we don't want to keep having another exhausting experience, we really get to move from just learning into, I'll say, embodiment, integration, right? Because it's too exhausting to keep repeating this. I don't know about you, but I know I've been exhausted by it. Right? And so I really want to encourage that. And the key word on this screen, if I could point anything out on this slide, it's practice. So information from a podcast is wonderful. I've got to go practice it. And that's where we kind of, oh, well, I listened to that podcast in the morning. By the time I went to work, by the time I got home, I didn't practice it, but it was good. You should go listen to Brene Brown. It was a great podcast. Right? We've got to practice what we've learned. If we read it in a book, we go to a therapy appointment, go to a coaching session, we go and listen to something, workshop even tonight, we've got to practice it. Otherwise, we stay in the same pattern. Insight without practice is just a repetition. So I really want to encourage everyone tonight to, if it's even going to speak your truth, something, right? I know if nothing changes for you, that will be really hard. Another year of exhausting relationships, overthinking, shrinking, not sharing what you have to say, collapsing, not feeling safe. That cost is too much. This isn't about like getting better at a relationship. We want to say it's about becoming more the person that you are, right? Because T, who wants to be seen and understood, or I think it's understood, right? That's old in her. Being seen for me is really old in me. I've got to show up differently with myself if I want to have a new experience with other people, right? So this really is about, right, wiring the nervous system to stay calm. So we use words like regulation. I'm really about people practicing regulating activities. We started this session off with one of the best regulators, which is breath. If I'm going to make a difference between my trigger and how I react, I've got to learn how to regulate. That's what the pause is about. Slow down, I could take a breath, right? Humming, walking, singing, cold plunges. We've got to learn how to be with our nervous system. So when conflict comes like a tree, we can bend and move, but we're not going to break. I can set a boundary and say, okay, it's okay. I may have to reinforce it. It's like, no, I said it once, it should be done. No, I recognize that I've got to share it over and over again because people want to go back to the pattern and I'm breaking the pattern with my boundary, right? So that is really what we're talking about here so that your relationship can shift, you can feel safer, our communication broadens, our patterns get interrupted. It happens quicker and quicker because, right, the breakup isn't the only hard part. I'm going to tell you, recognizing you fell in love with someone who's the same type of person, that's a whole nother heartbreak. I've been there. I attract emotionally unavailable partners. That's my pattern because I haven't been emotionally available all the time. And I certainly came from slot machine available parents. So this is really what we're talking about here. So are we going to make that shift? Right? So that is what the work is about, interrupting, improving our regulating skills. It's about safety. I can't stress that enough. We've got to feel safe within ourselves and our relationship so it can happen or change can happen. Is this anything that interests people? Is anyone like, write change in the chat that they're like, yes, this is exactly what I want to have in my life? Yeah, appreciate that, Dawn. Anybody else want to change in their lives? Because if we don't have a change in 12 months from now, we're going to have the same patterns, either in a relationship or outside a relationship. Yeah, it's exhausting. It's a lot of energy. The idea that there be the same patterns again, oh my God, what is the cost of the no, not enough joy in my life? What is the cost of no change? Am I going to still feel resentment? Am I going to still feel unseen? That feels like a really high price to be in that form of relationship, frustration, right? Where we're not seen, heard, valued, or appreciated, right? So this is where we're really talking about this bridge, right? This is where most people stop, is they like awareness. Podcast, it's awareness. We really are talking transformation. We get to do that with practice, and we need support around us. Other relationships that we can practice on that are safe, so we can create lasting change. This is what transformation is, the part that actually changes life. Insight is knowledge. Insight is right here, right? It's about how do we do this, integrate it all into the body. That is really why I created the Alchemy of Love. It is a coaching program based on 32 years of experience of working with people. I have a cohort that's starting in May. I love it because people get to be with other people. So a lot of what we did, and some people didn't come on screen, some people did tonight, we're all on screen. It is a coaching container that is live coaching, buddies, right? There are scripts, there's activities, mostly there's practice and there's safety. Because the only way to be in a relationship with ourselves and someone else is we've got to practice that. And having a container that does that is so, so, so important. It is a private group, but what's inside of it, right? Yeah, we get coaching. Yeah, we talk about a lot of nervous system reset, right? I'm into somatic practices because of that. And it's really why I also got into breath work. Words will not always calm our body. Regulating breath, right? So we also got to learn some relationships tools. We get some scripts. I'm just going to ask if we can, take somebody off the mic. Thank you. Just completely lost my mind there on that one. Yeah. So it is about having an opportunity to do the rewiring live, not in a book, but have the trigger, have the stuff come up. Let us all witness you, work with you here in the container, right? This is a 6-month, we use the B.E.S.T method, where you have a private community, hot seat, meaning whoever wants to come into it. I think what's so important, I'm going to keep going back to community. We need to be witnessed. That's why people come to therapy. They studies say it isn't about the training of the therapist. It's about the presence, that someone is witnessing us so that we feel seen, heard, and understood. Imagine having that in a group of 12 women. That's witnessing, right? I will also say, I do believe it's real important for me to meet with everybody one-on-one before and after. That is to set intentions, what you want to get out of this. We anchor that. And of course, post, we want to make sure there's integration happening. There's assessments. There's something called the saboteur assessment. They are our survival patterns, and we can start to track when they show up and how they show up, so we have more information and we have new options. But all of this is in there. And tonight, I really, it's not just the 6 months. It's a lot of toolkits. I've said it earlier. People come to therapy, they want to expand their toolkit. You come to a coaching program, you want to expand it. And you don't just expand it from the information I have, but you also get tools from all the other members of the group. Hey, what's the value? I've been doing this 32 years. No doubt 6 months of working me is worth $23,000. I know what I give and provide. You've chosen to be here tonight. There is only 4 spots left in my next container for tonight. Even if you want to just learn more, scan this. You can also, if Dawn, if you can put like how to contact me, one of the like book a call, let's explore it. I do work one-on-one. No, insurance does not cover. I'm sorry to say that they don't. But I think it's also real important. Thank you. If you want to explore this more, let's be in it, because people will go, oh, wait, Claude, right? Like, I don't know, but there is for tonight. If you act and you get that price, you actually do get other bonuses just for taking action tonight, for being someone. And I'm going to give that for 3 days, 72 hours from when we end tonight. I will keep this deal. After that, it goes back to my usual price, which is $5,500. But I will give you breathwork session, hypnotherapy session, and I give you my, workbook that I have on secure love, right? Because I want to reward the person who's willing to say, it's my time now. It is definitely my time now. And why it's not even 6 seats left any longer, right? But time is of the essence. And I recognize for all people, we have a lot of reasons why we may not want to consider this, right? The cost of inaction. I can list these areas, right? Oh my God, we're going to have more of the same in my life. We're going to have resentments. I want to say the other cost is the quality of our life. It is how much joy. Like people who know me, I have a motto. I'm expanding my capacity for joy, because my trauma patterns, my relationship patterns had me so constricted. I didn't have a lot of joy. I was hypervigilant. I'm the youngest who was always watching out for the oldest. I was never a relaxed child. I over-efforted all my life. So right, the cost isn't just in what'll happen to me for the year of inaction, but it's too expensive to keep losing the quality of life, right? People are like, well, it's too much money. I'm not going to disagree. If you think, and there is payment plans available, if you think you're not already paying a financial and emotional and health cost, I want to tell you, you are. I could tell you my clients, a lot of autoimmune illnesses, a lot of colds, a lot of infections, a lot of yeast infections. Some of them in our bodies kind of yelling at us. They're kind of being like, hello, I need help. I don't feel safe. I'm undernourished. I'm underloved. Even by you, I'm underloved, right? I don't have the time. You spend a lot of time in survival mode. We call up our friends, we're finding ways, or we're into other addictions to numb out the pain. There is a cost, right? So just want to say, right, even if you've done the work before, I honor that. Most of the people I've worked with, this is not new to them, right? But it is about, have you been in a container that allows this kind of combination of mind, body, spirit, energy to be there all at the same time, and to have a community? That is the invaluable. Like there's no price on that to me. So tonight, people are going to decide, or they're going to research. And I want to ask that to you right now. What do you want to be? Researchers, I've been there. I'm just here for more information. I'm going to look up some of the things she said. I'm going to check her out on Instagram, social media. Is this person even viable? Go Google me. I'm happy to have you Google me. I have a very good career in private. I'm a retired state employee, honorably served the state of New Jersey as an administrator for years. Therapy practice for 20-something years. So yeah, I may have the certifications and the experience, but that's not what it's about. So researchers are just going to get more research. Deciders, no, transformation is up to them, and they're going to take an action. So what do you want to be tonight? I honor either one, but is there any deciders here? There's anyone who's maybe going to consider and go like, I get it, Claude, I got to take an action. That's what I want to invite you into. Even if the action is go join and give me a call, go join a Facebook group, if you don't mind putting that up, Dawn, or giving me, scheduling a call. I would encourage you to take an action. That is the only way we break our patterns, is with a new action. We learned that tonight. That is the behavior point. Am I willing to do a new behavior? So for that, I hope that you will consider that. But I actually would like to say, like, what would it be worth to have secure love in the next year? What would the cost be? What are you willing to pay if you felt safety inside yourself that you could express? I don't know that some of these things have price tags. That's where I want to invite you. Because if you can imagine being in a conversation next year where you don't have to rehearse your words, imagine being in a relationship where you don't feel like you're walking on eggshells. Do you imagine staying calm versus getting really reactive? That's possible. It's possible with practice, right? So I really want to invite you into not over efforting. Stop questioning what's wrong with you. You are not broken. You are becoming a new woman in love. I love and honored to be a part of your journey. Again, there's 4 seats left. If you're ready, you're ready. Whoops. And if you're not, I want to thank you for being here tonight. If there's any questions, you know how to get hold of me. Feel free. Reach out. I want to thank the women who shared in chat. I want to thank the T who came on screen. That is the encouragement, is to be able to share with no judgments, but with support and cheerleaders. Everyone deserves that. We all deserve to have a tribe who holds us up to our highest. And I'd be honored to be part of that with you. If you want to learn more, please reach out. I want to thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere tonight. And I thank you for taking the time to be here and choosing you. It's been a pleasure to be here. Again, if there's a question, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for putting up with all the whatever we were having happen in the airwaves tonight. So have a wonderful summer. And I'm here at any time that you want to learn more about yourself, about your patterns, about making a shift. Good night, everyone. Thank you.